So 5.2, we've got number 13 as an example. The explanation I've given my students is that so far we've talked about graphing and they've gotten introduced to the system, so we can assume that they are starting to learn how the system works, and it's actually quite simple. It's a very, I guess you could call it an elegant system that makes a lot of sense in terms of the numbers, but now they want to throw some new angle at them. They want to give them a point and the slope and see if they can figure out what the equation of the line would be. So it's still y equals mx plus b. And by the way, that equation is so important that they actually put it on the cover of the book here, y equals mx plus b. And it's really important that students get that stuck in their head, y equals mx plus b. So what's happening here is we know the slope is 2, and we know, I mean, if you think about it, what can we do here? I mean, if we're going to write this in terms of this equation, we can definitely put the 2 where the m is, and then, you know, I would think that a student would think, well, what's this got to do with it? And that's the right direction to go, because that's an x and that's a y, so we can actually put those in there. I can put that x in, that 2 in for x, and then the -3 in for the y. And now if you notice, the only variable we have left is the b. So if we just work this out, do the math, we can isolate the b and find out what it actually equals. So now we get to use some of the algebra skills that we've learned leading up to this moment to actually find out what b is. So this stuff should look very familiar to all my students, because we've spent hours and hours talking about it and practicing it. So now this, of course, becomes a sideshow to the real deal, which is finding out what b is. So you get down here, b is -7, and I can imagine that some students will get to this point and think, is that the answer? Because, you know, they're not thinking about the big picture, but they need to think about the big picture. The directions were to write the equation for this information. So going back to this moment here, we knew what the y, or excuse me, what the m was, 2, and now we actually do know what the b is. And that is the equation of the line, given that information. It's actually quite simple.